It's time to look at stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers. And with me in the studio is Dikbo Oyewole, strategic consultant and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Dikbo.
Good morning, Mike.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Great. And also on Skype from Abeokuta is journalist and media consultant Ife Kayode Akimbode. Ife, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Dikbo. Good to see you.
It's nice to see you this morning. Okay, let's begin with News Direct newspaper now. News Direct says, letter to Buhari, Malami denies corruption allegations, threatens legal action. Okay, that's in a letter to Buhari that has been generating debate across Nigerians lately. The Blueprint newspaper is next now. Northeast governors cry to Buhari, insurgents on recruitment spree. They want police further equipped, and amidst dearth of resources, we'll do our best. Buhari is saying this. It says, let's go back to God on COVID-19. And informants worse than bandits. Masari, the governor of Katsina State, is saying this. And I'm sure my guests would like to talk about this issue of insecurity and maybe the body language of some of the leaders there. Now, Daily Trust is next now. Daily Trust says Boko Haram kills 223 civilians and 89 security agents in 7 months. And insurgents recruiting more members. Northeast governors tell Buhari, you have to do better. President warns security chiefs again. Provide adequate security, Sultan can urge the federal government. Okay. That's the Daily Trust, still part of what we'll be talking about. From there, let's go to the Leadership. Leadership newspaper talks about something else. Appeal court verdict, INEC, 22 parties wrangle over Edo-Ondo polls. And as appellate court orders electoral body to re-enlist deregistered political parties, we are set for governorship elections, ACD, MPN, YDP, others declare. No political party will be added in our list as the commission is standing its ground. Okay, that's the Leadership newspaper. From there, let's go to the National Economy. And it says federal government set for massive job creation, develops roadmap for barite industry and to commence gold production by 2021. All right, this certainly will make Nigerians feel better, at least some good news for a change, maybe. From there, let's go to the Daily Times, which is the last one we're looking at now. Why Forex market is under immense pressure. All right, you might want to know why. The federal government has, or the CBN has been trying to unify the Forex and all of that, the Forex window, so that all the multiple exchange rates can be unified. Okay, let's go to our story on the Blueprint newspaper. Yeah, Blueprint has it, Daily Trust has it, and talking about the issues of insecurity. Now, one thing the governors of the Northeast have taken to the president is to notify him of mass recruitment by the insurgents or by Boko Haram. One would say this may not be new, but is anything changing when we hear the military saying that they are winning the war and they're they're on top of the issue and all of that? But what do you make of all of these?
Well, we don't seem to see any sort of progress in terms of curbing insecurity in the Northeast. And I think it's quite unfortunate that we've been tackling this particular issue for close to a decade now. And there hasn't been a clear roadmap as to how they intend to go about it. I mean, before the president came into office for his first term, it was part of his key campaign points, issues of insecurity. And then we said, okay, as a retired general, he'll come in with all that experience and throw it on the table. And we'll see how the issues of security in the nation will then improve. But so far, that's not what we've seen. And we've also called for maybe a review or retirement or the firing of service chiefs. And the president has still said that no, that they're still doing a good job. But my question is, what are their KPIs, okay? How is he measuring their performance if after all these years, there hasn't been any significant improvement and we're losing lives and property on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so far it's not counting for much. So for me, it is quite troubling. And yes, I think it is high time that the governors of the Northeast now come out to say that as a body, to say that the issues of insecurity has gotten to the level where they can't handle it, even though I would ask that how much of a noise did they make a few years ago, because it's nothing new to anyone.
Right.
Yeah, so I think, yes, the buck stops at the table of the president, but they also have some responsibilities to shoulder themselves.
Okay, let me bring Ifekayode in here. Now, it took an attack on one of the governors for this coming together and the action we're seeing now, the decisiveness and working together, pulling resources together, pulling ideas together to see the president demanding that something needs to be done and has to be done now. Ifekayode, what do you make of this when you hear of the governors in the Northeast saying that the Boko Haram is on a massive recruitment of people into their cohort, if I have to put it that way?
Well, thank you, Mike. I think first and foremost, I need to say that we need to depoliticize security issues in this country, irrespective of party affiliations. Because you recall that sometimes last week, the American government said that these bandits, these Boko Haram, are making incursion into the Northwest.
Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, in fact. They said it was Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda. And that is worrisome. That is highly troubling. And I've not seen a single response from the federal government of Nigeria regarding what American government has said, whether in terms of reassuring Nigerians of safety or the plans they have to check this Al-Qaeda from coming into the country. I think that what we should do is that the federal government should seek help outside of this country. It's obvious that our security apparatus can no longer contain them. And if you continue to play with this thing, I hope that this country does not get consumed. It is not unheard of that we can seek help from foreign countries who have superior technical knowledge, who have superior military equipment, who have superior intelligence gathering network to support us and wipe out these people or probably contain them as much as they can. If you do not do it, because as it stands today, we've been doing this for the past 10 years, like Dick was said, we have not seen the result. Nigerians have yelled, they have shouted, they have called on the president to readjust and reappraise our security architecture. At most, sack the security chiefs. We are not seeing results. They have done their best, but their best is not good enough for us in the country. We keep losing lives daily. And a concerned president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces should be proactive, should have a serious reflection, should have a rethink. One of the major reasons for getting elected into office is to protect lives and properties. And as the president and commander-in-chief, if daily these people are killing, you hear 200 today, 20, they are not chickens for goodness sake, they are human lives. And every human life should count. So I want to call on Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, to please, as a matter of urgency, review the security situation in this country, sack the security chiefs, create a new security apparatus, seek help from foreign countries so that Nigerians once again could be safe for people to live in.
All right, Dikwa, we've seen several headlines from the president saying, well, the service chiefs are doing their best, but I need you guys to do more, to do better. When that language keeps coming from one time, two times, three times, does it seem like the agitation or the suggestion by Nigerians that the service chiefs should be changed or replaced, does it seem like that is going to be adhered to anytime soon? Unfortunately,
it doesn't look like it, because I would expect that they be replaced on two bases. One, based on performance. Have they been able to perform adequately? Have they been able to secure the Northeast, which is by far the most troubling part of this country in terms of security? Two, you have a huge population, a number of people within your country calling for their removal, citing issues of insecurity and lack of performance. If we go by those two indicators, I would expect that a president that was duly elected, okay, to serve the people of his own nation, would at least listen to what his people are saying, okay? Look at it from this perspective. It is possible that we work together and then some people say things about you, or somehow I have a bias and I can't see what they're saying, but can we go by your own performance? If what your performance is tallying with why they're saying I should have you fired, I should have to consider it. But somehow, the president isn't even taking it into consideration. It's not even a conversation.
Maybe
it's
the
not even
information
on the table.
Yeah, but the point there is, if we have to make comparisons, certainly the president has more information than anybody else because
Exactly.
he gets all of those. Maybe
Yes.
the way what he's seeing and what he's hearing is different from what Nigerians are seeing and what they're hearing.
Well, the truth is, we don't need anything ominous. We have the realities on ground. 223 people were still killed. I think that was yesterday. These are real numbers. These are real people. I believe that he picks up the dailies every single morning and then he takes a look at these numbers. If it tallies with what the security chiefs are saying, it is fine. But we need to understand that we need to regard human life. It is very important.
All right.
It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. With me in the studio is Dikbo Oyewale, strategy consultant and public affairs analyst. Good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you for
Veronica.
joining us. And joining us via Skype from Abeokuta is journalist and media consultant Ifekayode Akimbode. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Veronica. Good to see you once again.
Same here. All right, let's head straight to the papers now. And I begin with the Nigerian News Direct. Letter to Buhari, Malami denies corruption allegations, threatens legal action. And to the front page of the blueprint, Northeast governors cry to Buhari, insurgents on recruitment spree. To the front page of the Daily Trust now, Boko Haram kills 223 civilians, 89 security agents in 7 months. Insurgents recruiting more members, Northeast governors tell Buhari. You have to do better, President warns security chiefs again. Provide adequate security, Sultan can urge federal government. And on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, appeal court verdict. INEC 22 parties wrangle over Edo-Ondo polls as appellate court orders electoral body to re-enlist the registered political parties. We are set for governorship election, ACD, MPN, YDP, others declare. No political party will be added in our list. Commission will be looking at that story shortly. And to the front page of the national economy, federal government set for massive job creation, develops roadmap for Barrett industry to commence gold production by 2021. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Times, why Forex market is under immense pressure. Gentlemen, let's look at this story on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, talking about the appeal court's verdict. INEC saying that it is going ahead to ensure the delisting of about 22 or certain parties. You would recall that in the 2019 election, that afterwards, some parties, about over 70 of them, were deregistered from INEC's list because of their underperformance. That's according to INEC now, that certain parties were not elected into elective positions. That was why it was deregistered. And now this case is still in court. I wonder what you make, seeing that, I'll start with you, Ifekayode, looking at the recent developments, INEC insisting and the court saying, no, you have no right to do this.
Well, thank you, Veronica. INEC should be very careful and be very careful indeed. The Edo and Ondo State election might just be one of the reasons that the Supreme Court might cancel the election coming up. We have seen landmark judgments where, because a particular party was omitted or the logo of the party was omitted, and the court, in its own wisdom, has said such elections were null and void. If the appellate court had given his own decision that those 70 parties should be relisted, I think what the best INEC would do is not to say that they are not going to obey court order. INEC is an institution. They cannot disobey the orders of the appellate court. They can ask for stay of execution and go to the Supreme Court, pending the election of Ondo and Ondo State. But if they go ahead and refuse to release those 70 political parties, and if they go to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, in its own wisdom, might cancel the elections of Ondo and Ondo States if those political parties were exempted.
So invariably what you are saying that the steps or the actions of INEC is not in the right direction.
It is not, because INEC on its own cannot make a unilateral decision by saying they will choose to obey certain court orders or not. At the High Court, they won. At the Appellate Court, they have lost. Now, Appellate Court is superior to the High Court, and the Supreme Court will be the final arbiter in this situation. What they should do is that they should approach the Supreme Court and present their case. Pending that determination of that court, they should allow those to participate. If they do not allow them, and they proceed with this election between Ondo and Edo State, and eventually the 70 political parties are re-enlisted by Supreme Court, those elections will be null and void, and it will be an effort in futility for time and resources of those parties that will participate. And they should take caution and they have a legal department. They should consult their legal department before making pronouncement. And I think that's the way to go.
All right, let's bring this conversation back into the studio now. Like he mentioned, waste of resources, and,
yes.
And that was one of the reasons why INEC in the first place actually looked into the listing some of these parties.
Yes.
Are you also seeing what Ifekayode is saying in terms of if it goes ahead, talking about INEC now, if it goes ahead with that election, it could be cancelled? Is that what you see?
Yes, it is a possibility. But for me, I would say that it's setting a negative precedence, because now you have a recent current ruling from a higher court. So you don't get to pick and choose which judgments you think is in order with what you want to do. That is wrong. We still live in a society with rules and regulations. And so, like you rightly said, if you have any issue with the current court order, take it to the Supreme Court. But as it is, you must obey court orders, because like he really pointed out a lot of things that I wanted to say, saying that it will set, for me to set a negative precedence. Two, if for any reason the Supreme Court upholds the judgment of the appellate courts, and then they need to cancel the elections, definitely, okay? And then they have to say that
perhaps
we hold new elections.
Yes. At this point, September the 19th is just by the corner, and we also have an October election. And
yes,
you know the processes for justice in Nigeria.
Yes, so the question is, if you add them to the ballot, what is the challenge? What do you have to lose? Now, moving forward for other elections, I would expect INEC after these elections in Edo and Ondo State to likely take it to the Supreme Court and say that, okay, we know what, in the electoral law, X amount of parties, if you don't have these number of votes and all of that, you'll be delisted. So you make everything legal. But as a body, you can't just say that you want to ignore court order. That is the main challenge here. You'll be setting a negative precedence, and it's a tricky place to be.
But like you rightly mentioned, what does INEC have to lose if it re-enlists these parties? What does it have to lose, really?
Well, maybe they would say that they'll have to print a lot more materials, but I mean, at the expense of having to set a negative precedent that may be consequential to some other election in time to come, and also saying that you'll be spending a whole lot more money if the elections are cancelled. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Obey court orders, include them back on the list, let the elections hold as they're supposed to, and let's move on with it. But after these elections, I would expect that they take it to the courts and say that this is the formal court judgment. This is what we want. Any party that doesn't have the required number of votes as at any previous election should be deregistered.
Some of these parties did not have, some didn't even record any votes during the elections, you would recall, and
yes.
INEC went on and on, some won, some two, and all of that. But if we are to move ahead from for now, like our guest in the studio is saying, should it be based on the number of votes recorded before we can talk about the listing parties from the Commission's list?
The rules are clear, and the laws are very clear about it. INEC there are extant laws in the Electoral Act. And if those conditions are not met, INEC is empowered to deregister such political parties that is deemed inactive or does not have electoral value. Some of these political parties are not even existent. Some of them do not have offices across the state. Some of them are just there because they hope that they can be getting money from INEC when INEC was funding political parties. As it stands today, INEC is right, because the number is humongous, sometimes it's confusing. As a voter, when you take those, ballot papers, you do not even know where to choose. It's so long. And to the elderly or the uneducated, sometimes they find it very challenging to locate the logos of their political parties of choice. So, but then, we are talking about legal issues here.
Yeah.
The appellate court has made a position. INEC cannot disobey. And if INEC disobey, it's going to be consequential to all the efforts they are putting in place. Like Dick was said, it's no brainer. We have done it in 2019, we have done it in 2015. If they will manage to do it between Ondo and Edo, it's not going to kill INEC.
Right.
And after that, and moreover, they can expedite actions to the Supreme Court for stay of execution through their legal, because this is time bound.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
then Supreme Court justices, in their own wisdom, can sit down and grant them, some form of relief. But if they think that they can do it on their own, I can tell you for free that if I belong to one of those parties registered and have it, because it's difficult to predict who's going to win. Right. Shockingly, somebody from another party can win the election and they don't belong to the party that is on the ballot as of today.
All right, sir. If Ekayode Akinbode, we'll have to leave it the conversation here now. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Dikbo, we have to leave the conversation here as well.
Thank you for
Time is up. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.